Monday. Control yourself. Put your pants back on. So let's talk about January 6th. I know. But was it really, as our mainstream media contends, 9/11 and Pearl Harbor rolled into one? Well, thanks to the new House Speaker Mike Johnson, video from inside the Capitol building was just released almost 3 years later, showing what many who attended the protests have been contending all along, that not only were the Capitol doors more open than Hunter's nose on a Saturday night, but in many cases, the Capitol Police either escorted the protesters in like ushers at a wedding or stood by without objecting. Now, let's be clear, no one's defending the chaos on the Capitol, so spare me the Gutfeld supports insurrection tweets from substitute teachers in Brooklyn, still traumatized by Trump bitch-slapping Hillary into retirement. I may not support riots, but I do support the truth, and we have the right to hear the whole story, especially when many of the protesters were veterans and average citizens who just wanted their voices heard and who've been prosecuted like they were Hamas. Actually, worse than if they were Hamas, because no one's defending the Jan 6ers on campus. Just look at who was selected for the so-called select committee. You couldn't get a worse roster if you combined CNN's lineup with the cast of Saved by the Bell. Usually, to get that kind of kangaroo court, you'd have to hop on a flight on Qantas. That's an Australian airline. There you go. What's now clear is that any video that didn't fit the committee's narrative was ditched like one of Joe Biden's grandkids. So who exactly was on this so-called bipartisan select committee? Well, on the Democrat side, well, it doesn't matter. The faces changed, but the lockstep/goose step remains the same. One of them is House Dem Jamie Raskin, who's already complaining about the released footage.
Beyond the partisan nature of it, it's truly a security risk what they're doing. The reason why the Capitol Police have opposed releasing tens of thousands of hours from every House office building, every Senate office building, every part of the Capitol is because it's like giving a diagram to future insurrectionists and terrorists and anybody who wants to invade our body.
I think he's full of I wonder if he knows you can take a tour and see most of the Capitol if you want to. And most committee hearings are open to the public. But the chances of the Dems giving conservative protesters and veterans a fair shake are roughly equivalent to Jesse Waters giving his hairstylist the day off. And any committee formed to uncover truth that includes Adam Schiff is like making Ted Bundy the head of Visiting Angels. That would be a bad choice. The committee claimed to be bipartisan because it included Republicans Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger. And I'll admit, it was good to have women represented from the Republican side, but did we need to?
A sexist would say.
Kinzinger cried more times during those hearings than a Kardashian at an onion-eating contest. The puddles below Adam's desk were so large, the hearings should have had a lifeguard on duty. But Kinzinger got what he wanted, of course, a job kissing up to Dems over at CNN, where they're used to seeing grown men cry, especially when the ratings come in. Hey, Adam, maybe shoot a bit higher next time. I hear Media Matters needs a janitor. Then there's Liz Cheney, who reportedly still has political aspirations. She just needs to bump her likability numbers up a bit. Right now, she ranks just above Jerry Sandusky and just below ISIS. So, Liz, Adam, let's review some of the great work from you and the Biden DOJ. Here's new video of Matthew Perna, a man who had no criminal record whatsoever, walking calmly into the Capitol that day. Now, I don't know what happened outside before, but clearly the police are not concerned or even directing the protesters to leave. Perna was initially charged with trespass, a charge he reportedly accepted. But when the Department of Justice decided to add a terrorism enhancement, it was more than he could take. Matthew Perna took his own life. Here's another new video of police releasing a protester. You don't see too many terrorists that fist bump, do you? Except for Hamas. They do that after they kill innocent children, and they're still the toast of the Ivy League. So Matthew Perna gets a terrorism enhancement, which adds years to his sentence. while the Antifa thugs who destroyed a police station in Seattle, attacked a federal courthouse, and shut down cities while pretending to care about the Palestinians, they aren't even investigated. You can even attack Democratic National Headquarters as long as you're anti-Trump. Meanwhile, literally hundreds of January 6 protesters are looking at decades in jail. And it's Trump that this select committee referred for prosecution for mean tweeting. Now, one of the first ways you know you're onto something is when the legacy media starts to sing in unison like the Beach Boys on auto-tune. Here's just a few headlines since the full videos came out. Notice the repetition: conspiracy theories, disinformation, and never Republican. It's always far right. That's how you know we're over the target. It's the hysteria. Because to the left these days, we're the terrorists, and Hamas is the political party. Now, let me say it again so even the half-wits on The View get it. I don't support attacking the Capitol building. I've seen those same 3 January 6 videos the committee and the mainstream media wanted us to see over and over 1,000 times, and it's cut together so well it was up for an Oscar in the category of Best Editing. But I've also seen a few other things from the same sources, like the Crossfire Hurricane conspiracy, thanks to 2 other CNN contributors, Peter Strzok and Andrew McCabe. You won't find 2 bigger dildos at an adult toy store. By the way, you can't say dildo, it's a medical term. And of course, there was the dismissal of the laptop from hell as Russian propaganda. And there's the 4 criminal cases against Trump that wouldn't have been brought against any other living soul or even a dead one, like Nancy Pelosi. And yes, these new January 6 videos that contradict everything the Select Committee told us. Sadly, it's too late for Matthew Perna. But maybe it's not too late to recognize that some other people from the Capitol that day need to be investigated. And I'm not talking about protesters. Let's just say a certain select group. And if the Republicans have a big day next November, it could be all over but the crying. Let's welcome tonight's guest. Ironically, he moved from D.C. to a farm to deal with less crap. Fox News contributor Charlie Hertz. Looks, charm, intelligence, all things she's complimented me for having. Host of the Hoop Chat, Emily Austin. He's got the voice of an angel if that angel smoked Marlboro Reds for 30 years. Comedian Jim Florentine. And finally, she has a full-time intern just to clean her glasses. Host of Kennedy Saves the World podcast, Kennedy. All right, Charlie.
It's not just a farm, by the way.
It's not just...
I'm literally right across the street from a dairy. And do you know how much cow crap gets created by a dairy?
No,
it's
how
amazing.
much?
It's a lot.
Oh,
But I still roll the window down when I get close because it smells so much better than D.C.
No, that just says... I was going to say that just means that the inside of your car smells really bad.
Well, and it's also less than you get on the street walking around New York.
That is true, and there's no cattle here.
Not San Francisco, though.
Yeah, no, very bad. What do you make of this latest release videos? Are you surprised? Did you learn anything?
Well, yeah. I mean, at first I thought that the reason Democrats were so upset about the video being released is I thought they were just trying to, because nobody cares about this. Mm-hmm. This is not a political issue that's going to work in an election. And so I thought maybe they were trying to pretend like there was something secret about all this stuff. But now I think when you look at the video, miles and miles of video where people are not doing anything. And the biggest lie is what you pointed out. Nobody supported this.
Yeah.
There's not a single person at Fox or in any sort of, and I hang out with some real right-wingers. I'm a real, like even my dad, you don't get more right-wing than my dad. My dad's like, this is disgusting. This is terrible. We should be, nobody, but they
is he still hiding in Argentina?
So they have to build this lie that there are all these people who are like supporting this stuff. And then, but it turns out that actually what it is, it's a bunch of old grandmas and, people that are upset about their country and upset about their government and think that the election was stolen.
Yeah, I mean, Emily, if that was an attempted coup, that's like the most polite attempted coup I've ever seen. Imagine, though, like if I think there were 4 people from January among the protesters that committed suicide. if that were a BLM protest, or even these pro-Palestinian Hamas people that had committed suicide, there would be monuments everywhere. Instead, we don't even know their names.
No, they're freedom fighters, Greg. And that's the problem. America is preaching we are serving justice by trying these people who apparently were very peaceful, but they strategically did not show us that part of the media. And instead, right now, you mentioned BLM. They burnt down businesses to the ground. They robbed Chanel and Gucci in the name of Black lives. We have pro-Hamas groups that are barricading the borders of the White House, that are throwing blood there, putting free Gaza on police cars, shattering windows and vandalizing and killing people in LA. And I haven't heard the outrage. They put a keffiyeh on Benjamin Franklin's head. They ripped down statues, and it's true though. They ripped down American flags all over Manhattan. Where's the outrage? Where is the justice now, America? How come we are very selective on something that happened 3 years ago, when right now they're destroying our own country as we speak? No outrage there.
Yeah, when I saw Ben Franklin with a keffiyeh on, he looked a lot like
Fidel Castro.
Fidel Castro? You know, Jim, I'm going to read you a question that was written by one of my writers.
Okay.
Jim, what do you think is a worse event, January 6th or one of your stand-up shows?
You sure that wasn't my agent that wrote that?
Is this just another cover-up?
It is, and it's also, that's a lot of footage to be putting out there, 40,000 hours.
Yeah.
You know, at least can you break it up in like a 10-part Netflix series? Yes. So I can watch it slowly, you know what I mean? That's going to be a lot of boring stuff.
Yeah.
40,000 hours.
That is but you point out, though, kind of an interesting difference, that the Democrats know how to put on a show. They curated it, put it together, and knew everybody was going to watch it, and all the networks were going to take it. And then what we do is we just release all of it, and it just kind of dilutes.
Yeah, that's like Tarantino's our director. He let it go 40,000 hours.
Yes.
Like his movies. You know, they should have at least put like a bloopers reel out. Yes. Like someone that made a mistake and went to the Lincoln Memorial instead. You know, maybe they maced themselves. You know, I'd like to see stuff like that. Or maybe put like a cool soundtrack behind the 40,000 hours, like some cool music.
Yeah.
Have I don't know, somebody narrate it. That'd be cool.
Yeah, like who? It should be you, actually, with your voice.
I would do that.
Yeah.
Or Morgan Freeman.
Yes.
People always say that about my voice. She's doing voiceovers or Hollywood. I go, until Morgan Freeman dies, I got no shot.
Yeah.
That's everything. So I'm just waiting.
You're just waiting slowly.
Patiently.
Kennedy, how are you?
Hi.
Yeah. Does this infuriate you? It kind of bugs me because I know that there's nothing that can be done. And there are people, we actually have political prisoners in America right now, and we go on with our lives.
Yeah, we have political prisoners in Russia, and people go on with their lives. Journalists, and no one seems to care. But yeah, to Emily's point, all this stuff is happening here, yet we reserve words like insurrection for a group of people that we're politically opposed to. And that's how, a hyper-politicized process is actually dangerous for everybody, because you are creating a climate where you could be imprisoned essentially without due process because someone doesn't like your ideas. But what they never consider is, well, what happens if the pendulum swings and the people I hate are in charge, and now they don't like my ideas? Well, guess what? They can throw you in prison just as easily, and it will happen in this country because our sense of justice is so skewed, and it is so incredibly out of control and imbalanced. And, it's like I watched those protesters walk up to the White House and put their little bloody palm prints on everything, and I was like, insurrection!
Yeah.
Ooh!
Yeah, and
here's Adam Kinzinger in his tears now!
Yeah. All right.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.